All right, welcome to Smokey Approved Korea. I'm your boy journalist, and on this one, we are here to wrap up why the boy band hiatus doesn't apply to BTS. I have no idea why my file messed up like that. It was only uploaded 6 minutes of the first half of the video that I did, so I'm very sorry that we are now having to double back. So I will be wrapping this one up and dropping a bunch of other videos. So yeah, sorry for the wait. Thank you guys very much for joining me. Please do hit that like, subscribe, Patreons in the description box if you would like to support the channel directly or would like to have earlier exclusive access to anything I'm working on. That said, let's get into this one and see what we got today. Wait, no, I know what we have today. That doesn't work. We're doubling back. This oh, this is crazy.
Probably the biggest mistake of Western media and the general public is treating BTS as a Western act who follow the Western rules of music and pop culture. Because in Korea, if a music label and the members of a group say hiatus, it actually means hiatus. This is especially true because hiatus are not very common in K-pop, but disbandments are. So music labels and groups don't really have the need to give false hopes to fans because every year dozens of groups disband and dozens of groups debut. And it's common for the performers part of a disbanded K-pop group to re-debut either as soloists or as part of another group. Disbandment is not a word that groups avoid. However, it's true that
With how disbandments and debuts work and everything like that, uh, this makes it seem like working in the Korean music industry, just not being an idol, but just in the Korean music industry, seems like almost I guess it's a job everywhere, but like more of a regimented job in entertainment than what would be perceived to be how we work in the American industry. Because like once your girl group like fizzles out or your boy band fizzles out in America, we don't have that many debuts or disbandments for you to make a new like collaborative group with another group that may have fallen apart or taking pieces from other groups that have disbanded so we can then re-debut you. Like it's just it seems like a regimented process is how that seems to go along with how people are debuting and disbanding, especially with lists that large.
BTS is different from these K-pop groups because they are some of the biggest artists on the planet, and their disbandment or hiatus would be news around the world as a negative thing. And that was what happened.
BTS are going on hiatus.
The boys of BTS are headed in different directions.
BTS just announced they're going on a hiatus to focus on their solo careers.
I don't know if I think they're gonna come back.
BTS just revealed some major news, and it's not smooth like butter.
Like maybe it's time to move on. The K-pop supergroup broke hearts around the world, announcing they're going to take some time to focus on solo projects. Their management says it's not a hiatus, so kind of sounds like it. I mean, I guess all good things.
See, this is in the first video I did because I've already seen all of this, so I'm trying to remember some of the comments I had, and this is the one comment that I know I said for sure, phrased differently, but the same comment. The amount of lazy journalism that happens around what this announcement will be for BTS's hiatus situation is just ridiculous to me, especially because they continue to push the narrative of One Direction and look what they did and yada, yada, yada. And I'm just like, but the way that you're telling the story has removed all the context that was provided to you or that you could easily find before writing this story. So to then leave it out like it's not there for you to know and then to paint a narrative without it is just like people should be in jail, like straight up. I know this is like entertainment, like journalism. So it's like life or death does not hang on this, but I take it that seriously that you have a job as a journalist. You should have to do it with some ethical standard, or there should be some punitive justice that happens afterwards, because you are a information giver, and when you are given that type of status in the society that we live in currently, or just in any society, people being given the power to tell people things and they believe them is very powerful. And when you abuse that trust due to clicks or to get a better headline or to tell a story the way you'd like to tell it, I feel like that is criminal. and we should have some like processes for that. Now, granted, I know this is a very idealistic outlook of how we should deal with shitty journalism in the media sphere, but I really feel that way because, God damn it, if we didn't have this, like this, if there was no lack of journalistic ethics on this story, we don't have this video. Boris City doesn't make this video. I'm not sitting here today. Like, somebody should be in trouble. This is just ridiculous. Like, they did press statements. They did everything to tell you, like, it's not even really a hiatus, yo. Like, we're doing the thing because we, like, have to. I'm probably going to get frustrated watching this video again for the second time.
Things must come to an end, right?
So to translate the idea tainted by One Direction, BTS and their label had to go out of their ways to reassure global fans and the general public that their rest from group activities actually...
Also, I want to stop giving all the credit of the tainting to One Direction. Like, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Matchbox 20, like, boy bands been going on hiatuses and never coming back, at least to the American fandom, since the fucking 80s, since New Kids on the Block and that. So it's not new, and the bastardization or the misuse or the demonizing of bands that go on hiatus has been a thing in America. So this is why I'm like, I don't want to just give it to One Direction, because there's been bands that have been just as massive and they've went on hiatus. I've never got another album again. I'm still waiting on the Outkast album. God damn it, them niggas been on hiatus since like 2004. Andre said I was supposed to get an album last year. Like, at least in America, we know that when we hear hiatus, like, niggas is lying. Like, we already know this.
Actually means rest from group activities. There are many reasons why BTS's and One Direction's hiatus are different, but here's one. For One Direction, it was a decision. For BTS, it was unavoidable. Whether the BTS members wanted it or not, it's mandatory for every Korean man to enlist in the military for 18 months. So BTS planned to announce in 2020 that they were about to serve.
That's Suga behind RM. That's J-Hope behind Mr. Worldwide Handsome. That's Jimin on the end. That's V in the front. And now that I know who I'm talking about, that jacket that V got on with that white collar, though, jeez, that boy came through dripping on that day. Look at that motherfucker. That's yo, that jacket hard, cuss. I'm not mad at that jacket one bit.
Their mandatory military service and going into a 2-year rest in very careful ways, because the hiatus stigma that One Direction left in fandoms was too big to simply say that they were going on a hiatus, because no one would actually believe their words. This is why BTS prepared a lot of special content in 2019 and 2020 to promise their fandom army and the media that a comeback after their enlistment will happen, including promoting their album Map of the Soul 7 as their biggest and closing project of their first chapter as BTS. Many songs from this album were past BTS songs reimagined. They plan to promote this album with a massive global tour. They also said goodbye to 2019 by revisiting their old eras and performing their old songs in award shows. They also plan to release their Korean anthology album Proof and their Japanese.
It's another note I made yesterday. Don't be mad at me, y'all. I'm sorry. I keep being honest, trying to educate everybody on the system. They have, firstly, let me state, they've worked very hard to have an anthology album system and to have all of these songs and to be able to make a compilation of just Japanese music and a compilation of Korean-based music. It's a lot of hard work to do this. But the repackaging of all this hard work and then sending it back out to be sold as physical copies and to be streamed, this is where the steroids come in. Why is it steroids, you may ask? Is because every song that is on either one of these albums has a code called an ISRC code. That IRSC code is used to waterfall the previous streams that every one of these songs have into these albums. So let's say that the Proof album, the one on the left, is 1 million streams, or not 1 million streams, 1 million sales away from diamond certification. And we repackage all, well, what song would be on there? All right, we have to do it from a song. So hold on, let me back up. So there's a song that is on Proof that is 1 million sales away from Diamond. We repackage that onto this album, and then this album sells 1,000. Or no, excuse me, another 1 million. That one song now becomes Diamond certified through this system because of the juice steroids of the sale of it being a part of this packaged product and us using that ISRC code to upsell or to waterfall those new numbers from that song into this album, into any corresponding album it might be attached to. Think of it like, if you're American, it's like your social security number. A song has a social security number, and when we use this social security number, we can inflate the numbers on a project. Give you another example. Cardi B, when she came out and she did that remix to Kodak Black's song and was very popular, and she had her first album. The reason her first week did so well is because she had a song that was out, I believe, a year or two ahead of that album. And by the time that album came out, they were able to use all those millions of streams on that first week of sale by waterfalling all of those numbers back into her album with that ISRC code. They used steroids to make her first week look really good, and then they made her a media darling coupled with that, and now she's a successful female artist. Not to take anything away from her or the hard work she has done, because she did do hard work after the fact and beforehand to get millions of streams. I'm just saying the usage of how it was done, steroids. This is what I see on the screen. Steroids. Just being honest.
Japanese anthology album The Best as projects that mark the first of many chapters, and they also said that BTS's chapter 2 was about to start.
We believe that this awards opens the beginning of our new chapter.
But all of this is just the reward to fans and their artistic projects. What can actually convince even the biggest skeptic that they will come back is their brand new 7-year contract to continue being part of BTS under their label Big Hit Music. They also planned and did end up releasing statements on how important and meaningful it was for them to re-sign with their label for 7 more years. This could work as a promise to fans, the media, and the skeptical general public that they will come back. It's not just their word, they literally have a contract to prove it. But the BTS law happened, burying the news of the BTS contract renewal.
Yeah, this is another part of the video yesterday. I really enjoyed, and I'm glad I'm doing it again because I want to have a deeper conversation with you guys in the comments about this one particularly. We'll start on this side of the couch. RM looks like an actual, not saying he never looked like a leader, but I can really tell he is the leader in this situation because his face seems the most relaxed but the most stern, and he seems to be focused on the actual moment. Every other member, though, seems like they are having an outer body experience of being in a place they do not want to be in, nor having to participate in a system they do not like. Everybody's face looks sullen and they look upset. Nobody looks happy to be receiving what they're about to receive. And if my assumptions are correct, that is, I don't know how the power structure in South Korea works. So that's the president, prime minister, whatever they call themselves over there. I'm sorry, no disrespect intended. I just don't know how the government works over there. I just know that guy sitting in the chair, that's a big man up top. That's all I know. So these three right here, outside of RM, distraught is how I would say this. My other favorite part of this was one, J-Hope is one of the sassiest motherfuckers I've seen on camera. His face in this small amount of clips just shows the amount of I hate every bit of this moment that we're participating in. Jin looks calm, like he's got kind of like the strongman face, but if this is Jungkook right here on the side to J-Hope, he looks unrecognizable. Like when I did this video yesterday, I was like, I have no idea who this boy is. He does not look recognizable, and it's because of the sullen nature of his face and the moment that they're sitting in. Nobody looks like they want to be here at all. At all. It looks like we have had to do some glad handing or some backroom deals, and now we are forced to participate in this situation despite not actually wanting to be here. And I'm going to go back because I want you guys to just, after all this stuff I'm saying, please look at J-Hope's face and see how much of a, how I would put it, fuck you and everything that is going on in this exact moment. That's what I see on J-Hope's face.
Contract renewal.
BTS가 청년층들을 대표하고 있고 또 청년층들로부터 아주 널리 공감을 받고 있기 때문에
Jin is currently in the military and the other members are scheduled to go in the next 12 months.
From K-pop supergroup BTS, Jin, the eldest member, has enlisted in the South Korean army because Korean men are required to enlist in the military by age 28.
But everything that is happening right now was supposed to happen in 2020. Their announcement of a temporary rest from group activities and their military enlistment was supposed to start at the end of 2020, not at the end of 2022. But all of these plans were shattered because of COVID-19, which canceled all their concerts around the world and the big promotions they had planned for their last album of Chapter 1. It seemed like this could have been a bittersweet see you later, because although they had a new BTS contract, all their big plans were canceled. But what many were not expecting was that the government was about to release a new law that lets global artists like BTS to serve their military mandatory service at age 30 instead of age 28. This new law was nicknamed the BTS law because they are the only ones who meet the challenging criteria. Thanks to this law, BTS didn't have to go to the military for 2 more years. During this time, BTS released a pandemic album, a trilogy of English songs, collaborations, and their Chapter 1 Korean anthology album, which was supposed to be released alongside their Japanese anthology album. They also had their Permission to Dance tour. After all of this, BTS announced that they were taking a rest from group activities because they are going to the military. But 2 years after the announcement of the renewed 7-year contract passed, and the general public is not aware that it exists. This is how the confusion started. This is why many think they are not coming back, despite there being a contract that says they will. The members said that they renegotiated their new BTS contract and they consulted these new terms with their parents and big hit executives. This is why their current solo projects are still considered BTS projects. For example, all the members have their own personal Instagram accounts, but their label doesn't manage these accounts. Their management only has access to BTS's group account. This is why the members' individual promotions, although they are considered solo projects, are still published on BTS's YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and other social media platforms. Whenever they have collaborations, it's always attributed to a member of BTS. If it's Jimin, it's Jimin of BTS.
How good was that video, right? It was a vibe, right? It was real good vibes.
If it's Suga, it's Suga of BTS. If it's Jungkook, it's Jungkook of BTS.
I go by the name of RM of BTS. I'm J-Hope from BTS.
안녕하세요, BTS입니다.
The members are also considered solo artists on the streaming platforms, but if you go to their physical album's credit page, it still says BTS because their solo albums are still BTS's projects in a way. This is not what happened with One Direction. With One Direction announced their hiatus, their contract ended, and they all signed to different labels as soloists. So you will never see One Direction's official page promoting their solo albums, and you will never see a Harry Styles song being promoted as a song by Harry of One Direction, because the members are now completely independent from each other. Their contract with One Direction and their label cycle ended on 2016, but with BTS's hiatus, a new BTS contract started. This is why it can be frustrating for ARMYs when the media...
Wait, Boris graphic just to help me put something into perspective. Because I live in America, Harry Styles is far more popular than Zayn Malik. Just hands down. But the way that this graphic is constructed is Zayn is supposed to be the leader of One Direction? That's how that goes? I was unaware of this. And I'm basing this off of how she made this graphic. Because RM is for sure the leader of BTS. This is not even a question. So when I see this graphic, I'm just like, Blood was supposed to be the leader? I had no idea. I just listened to his debut album. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Not heard anything else after. But yeah, that first one's quality music.
And their label cycle ended on 2016. But with BTS's hiatus, a new BTS contract started. This is why it can be frustrating for ARMYs when the media or people who don't know anything about BTS or their story in the music industry instantly assume that BTS broke up and they are never coming back. BTS even gave an approximate date of when they are coming back, and the younger members are basically going to the military earlier than they should be, just so they can return as a group.
My boy looks so goddamn sad. Sad as shit. It's like, yo, they make me do this. I don't want to do this at all.
As soon as possible. BTS have schedules as a group programmed for 2030, leaving the question to many. Are they being exploited? Do they actually want to leave the group and become soloists like One Direction? Are they being forced to be part of BTS forever? The answer they've given multiple times is no.
Okay, yes. I know the answer is no. It doesn't make sense. We don't need to. That's why I'm just like, I've never seen this before. The whole I want to go solo thing is like 8 times out of 10 why most groups break up. But that's because they like, oh, I want to go solo and I want to go work on my own sound. Way BTS is set up, go do your own sound. Shut the hell up about it and go do it. And then we're going to support the hell out of it. But then come back over here and work with us doing this BTS thing. So this is why I'm like, not saying Boris saying this, but just more so the narratives that people would lazily use to say, oh, well, BTS is going to break up because somebody wants to go solo. For what purpose, blood? Like, where am I going? Like, what better situation do I get to work with 6 other people that I actually like and have built a brotherhood and a kinship with? And then I can go do whatever individualistic stuff I would like to do. And then I can come back and be that same individual within the group. We don't get these opportunities. I've never seen this in any musical group ever. Any, like, collective, collaborative effort, like nothing in my entire life or that I've ever seen in musical history is like, yeah, we've got 7 people. They will be 7 completely different individuals. They can even go make 7 completely different sounding albums, however the hell they want. But they also still make this group music together. And that's mad to me. I don't, like, really, it's going to take somebody being morally disrespectful, I think, for BTS to break up. Because I can't figure out anything that would typically be reasons for BTS to break up. And I don't want BTS to break up. It's just more so that's the only thing I could think of. Because everybody's happy with their money. Everybody's re-signing contracts. Everybody can do what the hell they want. What would be the point to break up? Like, I don't get it. Or we're going to run into a Yoko Ono situation. That's the only thing I could think of. Somebody has to cross a line morally, or there's going to be a Yoko Ono situation or a Stevie Nicks situation. Like, that's coming up. I'm not saying it's actually coming up, just like those are the only things I can see like coming up to be like issues. Because it's got to be great to be in BTS. They let you do everything you want. Like everything. I literally can't think of anything besides skipping the military. That's the only thing they won't let you do.
And they even give logical reasons as to why they are the ones making their own artistic decisions, business decisions, and other personal decisions. The general public doesn't really understand how honest the BTS members have been over the years, and how hard their story in the music industry has been. Unlike One Direction, BTS speak about their experience as global artists. If they are burnt out, they say they are.
심적으로 많이 힘들었었어요. 저희끼리 얘기를 하면서 해체를 할까 말까 고민도 했고.
If they are disappointed by an experience in an American show, they talk about it. If they are sad their demos didn't work out, they say it.
그래서 저는 사실 좀 기대를 했어요. 혹시 내 목소리로 끝나지 않을까? 하지만 슈가 형이 목소리로 끝났다는 거.
If they felt that they were taken advantage of because of their fame, they call it out. One Direction, on the other hand, kept all of this to themselves. They were not open to talk about it when it happened. So when they broke up, they started venting non-stop about it. Another difference is how they started. BTS debuted with almost nothing, and they've shared this struggle for years.
These racks.
How they started. BTS debuted with
these clothes racks to dry your clothes on. Like, if I never came to Europe, I don't think I'd ever see one of these. Like, I'd have to go to another country because that's just not a way we dry our clothes in America or any place I've been that I've just, like, been around. I've never seen these. Like I've seen the old school like clotheslines with the little pressure pins, clothespins, not pressure pins. I had one of those in my backyard in Tennessee, so I've used and seen those. But then my mom, like, that was a novelty why I dried my clothes out there, just so I could say I've done it one time. I remember my mom bought me the little clothespins to be able to put them up there and everything. Did that one time. After that, I'll never do it again. Never in my life. Well, that type of drawing. Never had to try this one, but when I came to the UK, I've seen these all the time, and it's because it's a lot more efficient and cheaper to dry your clothes like this, at least in the UK, with like a 400% increase in energy out here. But it's so mad to me. Like, just use the dryer. Now, granted, I know everybody doesn't have washers and dryers. I'm not saying it like that. For me, I just was so culture shocked to see these, because I'm just thinking everybody has washer and dryer access or coin laundry access. Like, there's a laundromat or you have a washer and dryer. Never in my experiences until I came to Europe had I seen somebody that owned a washer and dryer but chose to air dry their clothes afterwards. This, like, what are we doing? I've never seen it. It really blew my mind. I was like, why we pay for that wash or the dryer? Like, we could have saved like 700 quid not buying that dryer right now. Like, it's not necessary.
With almost nothing, and they've shared this struggle for years. They were living together before and after they debuted, creating a family dynamic more than a work dynamic. One Direction, on the other hand, had almost no time to form true, long-lasting friendships. They were formed on a TV show, and a couple of months later, they were in America promoting their first single. All of this is without counting the massive amount of racism that BTS received in America. People were screaming racist insults to their faces in red carpets. All of these struggles, from starting from nothing to feeling like aliens in the industry,
We're like aliens to the music industry for America.
has made the BTS
Big
members
facts.
want to fight a fight as a group, because as a group they feel stronger, while the One Direction members feel trapped. But many non-fans are still skeptic, and I think they are skeptic because they see BTS as a boy band like One Direction, or because they see BTS as an exploited K-pop group. And for those people, I hope this answers your doubts. It's public knowledge that the 7 BTS members have renegotiated their contracts, but even with their old contracts, the BTS members always had more power in making their own decisions than the majority of K-pop acts. And even with all of those existing liberties, it's assumed that their new contract gives them even more liberties and power. And it can be assumed that their label accepted this compromise, because BTS built that company. And it can be assumed that their label accepted this compromise, because BTS built that company basically from the ground. BTS made the small Korean independent label Big Hit Entertainment become Hive Corporation, which now owns multiple labels. So despite having become Hive Corporation,
And this flow chart shows exactly what I was saying about, not initially, I misunderstood BTS being independent. They for sure started as an independent outfit. But this map right here shows that they are no longer independent, because none of this map stuff shows up without BTS. So this is where I do give respect that BTS is an independent iteration. It has come from independence and grown to become a behemoth in the industry, and allowed Big Hit to turn into Hype Corporation, and then for them to turn around and make Hype Solutions, platforms, labels in America. So I definitely respect the independent startup of what all this was done with, but they are no longer an independent outfit. They are just as big as any other major record label in the world. They just have the creative control and power to say yay or nay that most independents would have, but that yay or nay is a power that independents don't have, because most independents have to say yes to everything. BTS decided not to say yes to everything, and like they said, we could have gone higher, could have gone a lot further, doing a lot of other things. We've chosen not to do that. I respect it, but we also have to acknowledge that there is a point in time where they went from just being a small upstart band into the gigantic at this point. Like, they're no longer an independent story any longer. This is for sure big label moves at this point. At least, like, that's at least what we have to say. I would have to say.
which now owns multiple labels. So despite having offers from many Korean and American labels, BTS chose to stay on their once a small label because they are now looking for longevity as BTS. And this can only come by having full power in their artistic decisions and not exhausting themselves by touring non-stop and producing one or more albums every year. We don't know what this new BTS contract says, but by the way the members talk about it, many assume that it gives them the freedom to slow down. So BTS having schedules programmed for 2025 and 2030 does not mean that they are being exploited or they are overworking themselves. They are actually getting closer to a healthier schedule. No more tours non-stop, no more 2 album releases a year, and no more crazy exhaustion, more tours.
I don't know this. I know it's a video right here, but this part reminds me of SZA's album cover. That's just me. I don't know.
Non-stop, no more 2 album releases a year, and no more crazy exhaustion like their past schedules, because that was what killed One Direction, and BTS want to prevent that. I honestly find everyone's response to BTS's hiatus kind of interesting and funny. One Direction left such a big trauma in fandoms and pop culture that BTS cannot even say the word hiatus without everyone freaking out. The first time they talked about the hiatus, many translators said that it was actually a mistranslation, and the word they said was actually rest. Then Jungkook had to go live to explain that they were not going on a hiatus.
Those are the tattoos he be having covered up all the time? Boy got his hands out here blasted.
And then their label clarified that it was a rest from group activities. But I think it doesn't matter what you want to call it. A group's hiatus is a rest from group activities. But BTS had to use another word because One Direction lied and changed the meaning of hiatus. A real hiatus is BTS's rest from group activities. BTS re-signed their BTS contract, but One Direction ended theirs. BTS's solo projects are still considered BTS projects, but One Direction solo projects are not part of One Direction. When the BTS members are performing solo, they call their fans ARMY.
First, I want to thank my fans, ARMY.
But when the One Direction members perform solo, they don't call their fans Directioners. So stop saying that's what One Direction said when it comes to BTS's rest, because their situations are completely different. BTS's rest is inevitable, and if there's something BTS has always done, it's keep their promises. So support BTS's solo projects in this new BTS chapter, and let's welcome them as a group again in 2025.
All right, I'm gonna make sure this video is. Hold on, let me make sure. All right, this video is recorded all of the time it was supposed to before I do my closing notes. So, why the boy band hiatus does not apply, I would say that this is almost a misleading title because they're not actually on a hiatus. They are on a rest from group activities due to military conscription, and also, okay, they could be tired, straight up. We don't actually see what a hiatus for BTS looks like because it's not a real hiatus. And why I'm saying that there's a difference is because these boys have not just decided based off of purely being tired alone that we want to take time off and then we're going to take that time off. Granted, they already attempted this, but I think that was also part of we got military conscription coming as well. So it was still tied into the military thing. I would say once we get the boys back in 2025, and then say in 2026, they're like, cuss, we need time off. Like, this is what it is. That then would be whether or not the real hiatus of BTS can be tested. But until then, I just still don't think that it's a good comparable thing to use One Direction because, again, BTS disappears, like, as a group and they stop making music. I think we'll still be talking about BTS. The only reason that we're talking about One Direction today is because Boris City has decided to use them as an example. Outside of that, I rarely ever hear One Direction even being brought up. Like, I hear about Zayn and Harry still quite frequently, but not even really Zayn. More so Harry, because Harry been brucking things up the past 2 years. But, like, One Direction came and went, at least in America when I was there. Like, I didn't hear about them for real when they were blowing up in Supermassive, and as soon as that train ended, it was silence. BTS, I don't think that's going to happen with what happens. I think they're still going to have to be part of the conversation because One Direction is being used for the most recent example, post NSYNC and Backstreet Boy era. And I think that's the only reason they get the light that they have, is because they've probably been the most successful thing since then. So that's why they're getting we're using a more modern name. But I'm sorry. I don't fuck with One Direction. So I'm just like, why are we even, I don't know why anybody brought their name up, honestly. Like, I know Boris City did it because that's what the media that she's covering in this video is talking about. But like, I don't even know why the media brought them up. Like, One Direction just was not for me, bruv. Like, they did not make any good music. I guess it's like a lot of plasticky pop music that I just could not get into. But that's just going to be my final thoughts on this one. Thank you guys very much for joining me. I'm sorry I had to record this one. But, yeah, thank you for joining me. If you watch both of them, please do hit that like, subscribe. Patreon's in the description. Get in the comments. Let me know what you think. And I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm out of here. Peace.